The Sharks come up with a big overtime win, and Logan Couture bangs it home. Take that for throwing an octopus on our ice. Let's talk about it right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is January 11th, 2022. The Sharks are victorious at home in white jerseys. What? By the score of 3-2. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks post game. We do this after every game, so if you want to be part of the show, here's how you do it. Chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Of course, follow us on all those social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Good evening, everyone. Alongside Eric Landy, it's Eric Hura. Landy, oh, pretty good game tonight.
It's almost like it went to how I planned it, didn't it?
Yes.
What I said that first 15 minutes was going to be super, super critical from the defensive standpoint. It played out like it was going to be a defensive type of game. I said, the team would probably win 3-2 in overtime because it was just going to be that kind of a slog. And there was good back and forth to that game. But honestly, just a good team kind of win, and it's good to see that that when the top line's not producing, you can get Logan and Dolan really coming through and doing some some great work with the secondary scoring there.
Yeah, and a line that really needed some swagger and getting off the schneid. It's something that they needed. Granted, Gregor Dolan didn't score tonight. Dolan did get a couple assists. We'll get into that. But Big Bird's in the chat, I think, speaking for everyone. Hey, how about a call that? How about that? We got a call our way. Oh, yeah. I mean, this one was just craziness here on this night as the Sharks take on the Detroit Red Wings for the second time in a week. We saw that nightmare go through, but as we get into it, Reimer Gadjevich on IR, Couture and Carlson back in the lineup. Adam Raska gets his rookie lap. He makes his NHL debut. But, Landy, it wasn't pretty at first. I mean, they really had a lot of turnovers and tough time getting out of their zone.
Yeah, I think, like I had said before, it was very much that defensive just turtle because they did not have the legs in that first period, especially the first 5 minutes of the first period. I was telling Kura we were on the Discord and just saying, like, look, they're kind of starting a little flat, and then you mentioned that, hey, this is typical of what happens when they come off the road trip. And
Yep.
What did, Cooch say at the end of the game? It's like, hey, you're coming off a long road trip. And so they had that excuse built in, I think, already.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had the rough time of them, getting in and that last game on the road trip, that first game back, always has been a struggle. It looked like they didn't have their feet going right away. Things started to spark up. We had a fight where, let's be honest, I think VL goes up almost a foot to Giovanni Smith, and it showed in that one, unfortunately. But Don would take a penalty, take a hooking call, about 8.5 in. Then Detroit started getting into some penalty trouble. Mark Stahl takes a brutal cross check on Raska. I know you didn't like that one.
Oof. So I think Raska gives up at least 4 or 5 inches on Mark Stahl. So you've already got that built-in height difference, and just a really, really dangerous play to be making that close to the boards with that much force. And as soon as I saw Raska's head hit off the glass, that I got whiplash and I got, scrambled eggs, scrambling the egg in the shell, because, oh boy, that poor kid. That looked really rough. And now those are the kind of hits that I hate. I hate in this game because that literally, I mean, that can end somebody's career if they've already got, you know, head injuries and stuff. And so yeah, it was kind of scary for me. But you know, it was good that the team finally capitalized,
Yep.
and I think it was getting to the point where people were taking liberties
Yep.
because the power play could not back itself up, could not back the team up. And so that was a statement for getting for Raska and for telling them, hey, look, if you're going to put us on the power play, we're going to make it hurt where
Yep.
it hurts the most, the scoreboard.
And I've preached this for years. Is that the best way to not have them take stupid penalties, take cheap shots at you, or is get them on the scoreboard. And after Robbie Fabry cross checks Ferraro to set up another Sharks power play in the first, Timo Meyer crashes a net, bangs it home. His 15th from Dahlin and Burns to get things going here. What did you think of Timo's goal?
Timo really has been in the right place at the right time all season, has just got that touch and has just got that ability to slow time down in the slot, and that's how you can tell he's in his groove. That's how you can tell the game is coming to him and he's able to dictate the pace of play. And Dahlin, I mean, just a great pass there. And I know we had talked a little bit on that on the commentary on that one, just saying that Dahlin kind of made something out of nothing there, and we thought, damn, he's getting too far into the blue paint. Like there's never, you're never going to get a good shot or a good pass through. But he ended up putting it behind himself in some kind of slick maneuver and really showed off some creativity around the net. And like I said, Timo has just been in the right place at the right time, deposited that goal, and that was a good one on the power play.
Yeah,
That's what you like to see. The tic-tac-toe, the lateral movement, and when you're doing that, you're going to score a lot of goals.
the crashing of the net. I think they don't have to be pretty; they just have to go in. Honestly, Noel Bilodeau. I love someone got a raw octopus inside, but I can't even bring in a purse. With all the restrictions in, I don't know how they got it in, but it
Just leave the poor octopus alone. I mean, like they're like they've come up with some studies that say that they're kind of like sentient creatures, and I don't know if the people of the TikTok generation will tell you about the about the octopus that sticks on the lady's face because you don't want to be eaten. So it's just like, come on, guys, like
it's
really.
it's almost it's. I swear I've seen it as a Disney cartoon, or maybe that was like a starfish that stuck on one of the Disney characters. But I digress. Moving onward to the second period,
Find a happy place.
uh, you know, pretty much back and forth. The Sharks kind of again. The Sharks dominated. I thought in the shot totals tonight, and nothing really was coming into the second period. I thought they played pretty solid. You saw Gagne. I thought it looked like a little bit of a slew foot on Meyer once the Sharks sustained some offensive pressure. They unfortunately didn't get anything out of that. And then the two penalties, you know, 2.5 within the 2.5 minute to go, in the period. You saw Ferraro take a holding call on Bertuzzi, then Hurdle, what they call goaltender interference on going to try this here, Nedeljkovic.
Nedeljkovic, yeah.
Yes.
To me, puck guy, the initial hold call on Ferraro was just, it was bad. Like that was blown. Like maybe you could call, I don't know, man, because it's just like he's got his free arm. He doesn't lock him down. He doesn't pin him down. He's just using him to push him off the puck.
Yeah.
And it's like we can't even use our free arms now. And I thought the rule was, holding on to a player, not pushing them away. So
Go ahead.
I didn't like that call. And then again, with Hurdle, you could see what he was trying to do. It seemed like Nedeljkovic had a pretty good, a pretty good flop for the amount of pressure that, Hurdle put on his pad. So, the Academy Award goes to, but, it was rough because, at least in my opinion, you hate to see a team, get kind of nickel and dimed on a 5-on-3. It's
Right.
one thing if you, take a boarding penalty, or it's another thing if you take a crossing check penalty, and then, you trip up somebody on the PK. But those kind of ticky tacks, just you got a ticky tack compounded by a ticky tack. That's rough.
Yeah, it was one of those weird ones there, Mark saying that was a total dive should tell the chicken wings that there aren't any diving boards in SAP Center. Years ago, we would have said, "Hey, he'd be great to be a Canuck," but that time has passed. So
No, I mean it's interesting because we see a Detroit Red Wings team that's got some snarl.
yeah,
I think it's a little bit different constructed than we've normally seen them. We've seen a lot of through the Nick Lidstrom, or excuse me, through the Lidstrom Datsuk. I, I've got Lidstrom on the brain. We'll get there. Datsuk and Zetterberg, it was very much a skill based team. It was very much you just saw the way in which they skated and which they executed plays. It was all about skill. And now this team is much more of a smash mouth, kind of in your face, like to mix it up. We saw the fight with VL and Smith. I think we didn't cover that, but this is a team that's gonna push you around a little bit.
hmm
And again, that 5-on-3, getting that the way in which they did, it kind of left a little bit of a rough taste in your mouth because they had played pretty well defensively. And really, it was two ticky tacks in a row for me.
yeah. The thing with that is it triggered memories of when Bowman and at times Babcock would bring over the ref, talk to him, sweet talk him into a call right away. Yeah, I mean, he went down quicker than a Jenga board. I mean, come on, it was like ridiculous on
That's
there.
what I like to call the heritage tax, right? I mean, if you're original six, you it, I'm not saying that there's preferential treatment, Eric,
Yeah,
but
you are.
you know,
Let's be honest, you are.
yeah,
Unfortunately, so that 5-on-3 would set that up. Tyler Bertuzzi would get a loose puck home on the power play from Ronick and Sider. Sider took a rough puck to the face. He did come back in that game, so good to see on that
yeah.
part. That wasn't fun off the Mario Ferraro tip, but either way,
Clear. That was
oh, clear.
Mario
Excuse me.
Ferraro got the puck on the up end and cleared it out, and he took that straight to the ear.
Mhm.
that was bad. Like, I'm wondering if he's missing a chunk of his ear, because that was coming full on, end over end, and not fun,
Yeah.
not fun. So good on him for coming back. And you know what, this kid Mort Sider, I mean, he is as advertised. He's going to be a core piece for them for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's going to be scary. We were talking about, just the amount of talent they've amassed, and just even with today's news, how they're going to set themselves up for a long time. And I'm seeing visions of streaks again for them in the not so distant future.
Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting loaded up and everything for down the road. I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the East for sure. So that tied it up at 1-1. We go into the third period, and probably Hill's had some troubles, but this one the goal with Letty, his first of the year to make it 2-1, definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. Definitely something he should have had.
Yeah, and again, as we were kind of going over in the pregame, he tends to get better as the game goes on, and this is one of those rare instances where he kind of just let the team down on this one. And we don't say that often this year, so that's good. But again, you don't want to make a habit of that because you've got, you've got the team where you're kind of at the point you're through the midway through the game. It's already a defensive kind of effort, so you know that goals are going to be super important at this point. And I think that could have been a point where the team could have soured or could have really shifted the momentum in a not so great way. Um, but then I think really the secondary scoring I think really picked up the backs here, and Jeffrey Vial doing yeoman's work.
Yeah, driving to the net, something you love to see. Just keep pushing net front presence all over the place. He gets his second as it eventually goes in off of a skate and inward. The Red Wings kind of took a little extra time to see if they can maybe look at it 5, 6, 700 times. That maybe challenge for goaltender interference. They didn't challenge it, so it remained 2-2, and that was scored a minute and a half after that Letty goal. And after
Great response.
great,
Great response.
and that's what you want to see, and is just to see that response. It's like the Chumbawamba song. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you to be where you eventually want to be. I'm not saying they're there right now, but to be where they want to be, stuff like that. That little extra touch. I'll talk about, Benino blocking shots, sacrificing his body. We won't even get into what Mario Ferraro does. He still leads the league and I think bruises all over his body. But those little things is what.
Well, I mean, and I think the underrated part of his game too was he didn't have to fight Smith. You know what I mean? Like they could have probably just let it go and not have the retaliatory type of game, and he said no, he was gonna step up to the plate, and he was gonna try to just remind him that, hey, Middleton's a person too, and we got people that are going to stick up for each other. So I like that in his game, but I also like the way in which he crashes the net. I think he's kind of a little underrated when it comes to throwing his body around, especially in front of the net, and getting in the eyes of the goaltender. This is a player that seems motivated to play. And it seems like a guy that always has his like work boots on and is ready to come and play for the guy that's next to him in the stall. And those kind of heart and soul players, those are the kind of guys that you need to surround the team with, and really just get that sense of camaraderie back. Repair that locker room, and have the torch be finally passed from the ghosts of 1912 and 8. You know what I mean?
True.
And really make this their team. So Jeffrey Vial, I think, really aids in that, and I think Jeff Middleton, or Jake Middleton, wherever he's at, giving him some stick taps for sure.
Yeah. VL in the post game here, I thought we got better as the game went on. We made turnovers we shouldn't have, but I thought our game was pretty good overall. The fight with Smith is part of my game. I had to remind him of that hit on Middleton was dirty, and we're going to protect.
That's what you want to. That's exactly what you want to hear.
Raska made some good hits today. We're used to playing with each other with the Kuda. Markley completes that trio. So yeah, you had some familiarity with that line. So good job by Bugner to keep them around. So you like to see that. I do want to go back to the performance on the goaltenders. as I had it on here for a bit, Kevin Lacey was saying, forget about the performances, but how they got Nedeljkovic for a third, and the Sharks gave up a second for Hill. Yeah, I mean, Nedeljkovic had a pretty solid night tonight, and I believe he was one of the stars.
Yeah, he was one of the stars, and again, one of those kind of undersung type of prospects that the Detroit Red Wings have made money on. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And just another one that has gone through the system and really going over the overripe type of prospect. So look, like I said before, I think that the front office is in really good hands, and I think that that was a very, very shrewd pickup in getting him. And I think he's going to be one of those core pieces that's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, and for Hill, I mean, the honestly his third straight start where he allows 2 goals. So we'll call it consistency there. Yeah, it was only 17 saves on 19 shots, but made some nice ones. Like I said, I think that Letty one is the one he wishes he had back. But overall, not a bad night for Hill.
Yeah, I mean it helps I think when the team plays defensively better and more sound. And um, I think tonight we saw that the defense was only giving up real not a lot of grade A chances. There was parts in the second period where they were going back and forth, where Hill had to make some really good athletic saves. But I think in general, just the defensive structure has kind of started to correct itself a little bit, and I don't think he was really hung out to dry as much as he has been. So that's good. But again, if he's going to give up those really softies, it's not an opportune time to do that in the third period. You know what I mean? So, um, I just it's the inconsistency I think in his game that it still gives me pause at where he's actually at. I don't know if he's going to be a 1A type goalie or if he's, going to be destined to be a platooner. At this point, I still don't have enough read on him. I think he's got some raw talent, and I think that he's got a good frame. I think he still needs to work on his technicals, and especially high. We've talked about that, and then again, I think sometimes his mental focus can drift in a game. So for me, I think the book is still being written on Hill, but two or fewer is good. If you keep your GAA around two, sub twos. I think what was it? Antoniemi always said that GAA was more important to him than save percentage, right? And I think I for me, I think I similarly, right? It's if you keep the team within 2 goals against every night, that you're going to give yourself a lot of chances to win games.
And that's the most important thing because I think in the end from last year, goaltending didn't give them a chance to win last year, where this team was flirting with a little bit of the playoff spot when it had won 6 in a row last year, and then it fell apart. And you didn't have that confidence, nor did you have the offense really to make up for that. It just wasn't there. So, but moving over to PJ48, best NHL game from defenseman Merkley I've seen him play, with the exception of some weak play along the boards. Not a bad game from the forward Merkley either. So if your name is Merkley and Landy, just know they're not related.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
I
think
didn't
I,
know if
I
you
think I
didn't.
heard that somewhere, right?
But
uh,
but both Merkleys, yeah, I thought they played fairly well this evening. Ryan, you know, Ryan Merkley had, let's see, I think it was like almost 15 minutes of ice time tonight. Yeah, almost 15 minutes of ice time. Uh, Nick had 9.5 minutes on the night, but they both were fairly solid and both had some interesting power play time too.
yeah, I think we saw a little bit more movement on that power play with Merkley and with EK65. Um, it still scares the shit out of me sometimes, but hey, you know what? That's okay. I thought that they played pretty well tonight, and I thought that they had some good movement through the power play. I thought Merkley in general was really dictating play with his passes, and both me and you were commenting like, boy, we haven't really seen Vlasic all that much, and
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. But going through some of the comments that AJ has so graciously provided, um it sounds like it was a coaching decision to play him 10 minutes 45 seconds, but that just goes to show you that Ryan Merkley um, gained some ice time without Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and was able to drive play and drive play with his partner, and of course I think we all know now that poor Eddie is kind of a shell of himself at the
Yeah.
moment, but really pushing that pair forward as a viable option, at least in short bursts.
Yeah, Bugner saying in the post game, Vlasic's time on ice was just one of those weird things. No injury and other guys around him playing well. I don't think it was necessarily a knock at Vlasic, but after first period we noticed it that he'd only played 2:44 and barely was out there for like 45 seconds. It was almost like shifts for third or fourth line forward that he was getting. But I mean,
Yeah, and I think the benefactor of that is Jason. It was Magna.
mhm.
Magna logged about 20 minutes of ice time tonight, and he looked really good. I mean, I thought he was very unsung with Erik Karlsson. I remember I had mentioned through in the third period, I'm like, damn, he's trying an up pass, with five guys through the neutral zone, and it's like, dude, you're not Erik Karlsson, but he had some cojones to make that move, and you could just see him getting some more confidence. And like I had said, excess of defensemen is a good thing. It's very, very good trade chips, and especially when you've got some of the more defensive-minded, stout defensemen, they seem to always go for a pretty penny. So you can never have enough defense, in my opinion. Ryan Merkley, I think, is really taking steps to cement his spot, and I think he's proving that he can handle third pairing minutes at this point. And I would not be surprised with this little introduction, or this little cup of coffee, that he displaces somebody, and he will garner time at the cost of a Radim Šimek or Hataka, who actually went down. So, I think it would come at the cost of Šimek not Middleton, because Middleton's on IR now, but Vlasic, when the whole decor is together. So to me, he's starting to blossom right in front of our eyes, and I think it's really good to see from a prospect who we all had high hopes for, and for a guy who's had a little bit of a I won't say checkered past. I think he's more of an emotional player, and I think he's more representative of the Gen Z player. But just a guy that's got a little bit more emotion, and kind of wears it heart on his sleeve. And as everybody likes to joke, is that Landy's brother? You guys know me too. I can get pretty passionate too. So again, I think it's good to see him really start to blossom, and not only that, not take shifts off. We were all concerned that once he got here, he was going to be getting comfortable, and I have not seen that from his game yet.
No, he's looked pretty solid, which it's nice to see. I mean, the offense will eventually come, and it remains to be seen how it goes. Obviously, he's looked pretty good in the lineup. I think even his first stint, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, the board play needs to be worked on a little bit. Yeah, he gets stuck out there at times, and needs to work on that a little bit more. But overall, not too bad. So we go into overtime, and then all craziness happens. We have an octopus thrown, which again we still don't know how the heck that gets in, considering how you're not allowed to bring in anything at the Shark Tank now. But then the whole play,
that's a Blue Jacket fail right there,
big time. But you get the Burns shot. It looks like it's going to trickle in through the game itself. Couture leans in and bangs it home, and the Sharks win. We're celebrating. We're getting ready to go live, and we're like wondering, why are we seeing this replay over and over again? It turns out Toronto called down to just make sure that the play was onside from that play with with Jonathan Dahlin getting the
I think
puck.
it was two. It was two. There was technically, so on the goal itself, it was reviewed for goaltender interference. And then once it was confirmed that way, then I think Blashill used his challenge on
You can't challenge in overtime.
or okay, so they had I was picking up on the broadcast. It was like two separate things that they were looking at.
Couture had said, and I got it right here. I went over to the ref, and he told me they were making sure the octopus wasn't part of the play, which would have been a disastrous way that that a Red Wing tradition helps the Red Wings. So there was that, but of course the offsides. But the but what? What are you laughing at?
PJ48, the octopus was offside.
Oh, well, see, great. That would be so Sharks if that were to happen. Oh, the octopus was onside. It looked like it was painted teal. No goal. So that's the that's. But Couture, I like how he goes to the net and then he just crashes in there and then just slaps it in for the game winner.
The awareness to use his stick and keep it on the ice and not to bat that in with your hand. The stick to itiveness to pull a Drew. I mean, there's not much to say other than that was a captain move by a captain player, and he showed up tonight. And as I had said a little bit earlier, it was good to see that a Sharks team that had its top, let's face it, its top line and the line that's really driving play for this team right now, have it be shut down and have others come through. That's so good. And I think we're also seeing now the reemergence of the chemistry between Cooch and Dahlin. Which I think we saw that at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, I think we can all see that Dahlin's shot is not what it has been, and I think that that's all on the shoulder. But I still see the creativity. You still see the silky hands, and the sauce passing is still there. So it's good to see him get a little bit more confidence offensively, even if he's not scoring goals. But still able to be a play driver. And it's good to see that Logan and him coming back together was the key integral piece to tonight's win.
Yep. So a big win for the Sharks. They win 3-2 over over the Detroit Red Wings. They avenged that earlier loss last week. So it's going to be a good win all around. Gets in the 41 points on the campaign, which is even nice. Sharks power play, they go 1 for 3 tonight. They're 2 for 22 in their last 10 games. Of course, the Sharks go to 13-3-1 when they score first. But this one's a really cool one though, Landy, and it shows how Burns had gone through a big schneid, either points or goals. But now Burns has assists on the last 6 Sharks goals. I mean, overall, Burns, he's stepped it up. Yeah, he's not shooting the puck into the net, but I mean, he's definitely being the playmaker. Kind of like how Carlson was right away when he came back from COVID.
You know what? I mean, Burns offensively this year has been very dynamic, and I think he is showing very much the kind of the offensive outburst that we know he can have. And this is, if you got him on fantasy right now, I mean, you have seen this before where he will just net you point after point after point within the span of like 4 games. And you'll see him, it's like, okay, Brent Burns has 8 points in 4, and it's like, how did that come out? and when you look at him on the ice, it's a train wreck. But I will tell you what, man, he has a knack for getting the puck to the net. That shot just creates so much. I mean, most of the Sharks' offense is funneled through that shot, and really being a key piece to the cog of the Sharks right now in the Shark machine. But Eric, I mean, I think kind of a little bit understated. Sharks are back in a playoff spot, and let's look at it this way. They have 2 games in hand now on Anaheim, and with those two games can pull even to Anaheim. You look at Los Angeles. Los Angeles has the same amount of points as we do. Sure, they've got one game in hand, but if you took a look at tonight's game, the uber important Colorado Nashville, Nashville took it and took a point from Colorado, and now we're seeing movement again. So people, when I know we had been kind of sour in the prior, even in the prior wins, we had been a little bit sour on, okay, where is this setting up? But this just goes to show you points that you have now cannot be replicated. You can't play what if with those games in hand, because you're going to get really wacky movement, and it's not for sure points. Now Calgary has 4 games in hand on us, and that's also a concern.
Yeah.
But again, Edmonton have all these games in hand, yet they're losing them. So it's going to be topsy-turvy, I think, especially with the way in which COVID has impacted the games. I don't think people are going to be out of the playoff picture. I think this is going to be a dogfight all the way to the end. And I would probably say that the top 5 in the Western, or the top 5 wild cards in the Western Conference are only going to be separated by 2 points, 2 or 3 points by the end of this thing. I think it's going to be that tight.
It's going to be an interesting race, and especially when February hits and everybody, makes up for their COVID delays and everything. Which, and here's the other thing before we get to the comments from the team. The Sharks are going to only need to make up 3 games, and obviously, unless something bizarre happens, they're going to have some. They're definitely going to have some time off where the Olympic break would have been. So there are going to be some tired players, especially those in the Canadian teams, that are going to have to make it up for it. But like you said, the Sharks are at 41 points. They hold down the number 2 wildcard spot. They are tied in points with LA, but LA has played 1 game fewer. They also have the Sharks have 2 games in hand on, like you said, Anaheim and Vegas. But but Calgary has 4 games in hand and just a point back. Edmonton 3 games in hand, but 3 points back. Winnipeg has 4 games in hand on the Sharks and at 37. Dallas 32 with 36 points. Vancouver, who lost tonight, 35 games with 35. So if those teams have any more sort of a hiccup, and let's be honest, Calgary's kind of come off the rails a little bit. Edmonton really has come off the rails a little bit. Let's get to the point. We'll get to that other part and thing. Let's also be honest, and AJ's saying the same thing too. There's going to be a lot of divisional games coming up. You haven't played Edmonton yet. You haven't played LA. You haven't played
Vegas.
Anaheim. You haven't played Vegas. Which, oh, by the way, if you didn't see Twitter today, Jack Eichel started skating again with the Golden Knights.
Yeah, man, you freaking $6 million man himself, or what is it, $11.5 million man himself. I was just remarking, like, I have a blown disc in my back, and I've been quoted on the surgical procedure. It's going to be 6 weeks to just walk after you get it done. You get the bar put in your back, or you get the disc replacement done. And for this cat to do it, to be 6 weeks back on the ice, just insane. And the medical technology that these guys have access to is just insane. And it's going to make things interesting. But again, Eric, if I was to tell you that, if the Sharks won their 2 games in hand, they would be at 45 points and just 3 points back of Vegas.
Yeah.
Of the Pac division lead. You would go, like, that's kind of impossible with the season that we've had, this up and down season that we've had. But yet here they are. And it makes it really interesting to go where this team is going.
And it makes it very interesting as to what you do at the deadline. That's the tough part. If you're in the top 3, okay, sure, you know what you're going to be doing. If you're like the worst team in the league with, Arizona, Seattle, and Chicago, you know exactly what we'd be doing. Here, you're like, mm. And you know you're going to get a pretty penny if you were to trade Hurdle. At the same time, though, you also know how big of a marketing tool Hurdle is to the fan base. And for a team that didn't get mentioned at all this weekend, especially with the way they won their game on Saturday, because the Niners won a big game to get into the playoffs. Some guy named Klay Thompson came back for the Warriors.
Who's that?
Yeah, my point being is just that again, the Sharks don't get top billing, and if you look at the crowd, it's tough to see where everybody's at, and they're not in San Jose. Unfortunately, they're up in San Francisco or Santa Clara.
That was rough. That was really rough in that first period. It looked like there was less than 5,000 fans.
Yeah, it looked really scary. So, yeah, and Dana Meyerson saying, "How is Vegas going to get 10 million off your?" That's a great question, but it also helps.
They're gonna Tampa Bay this bitch.
Yeah, that's why Max Pacioretty had surgery and is out indefinitely. So let's get.
But he's gonna be magically fine for the playoffs.
Yeah. So let's get to some of the comments now from the players and coaches. Couture saying, "I had energy. I was in a hotel for 5 days. I had a lot of pent up energy. It felt really good legs." Yeah, that's what we'll do. I've been dealing with COVID myself, and I'm kind of itching, ready to go out and do some work, which is totally not what I would have said about a week and a half ago. Nice win, happy to get it, of course. It's always something. I felt pretty good tonight, and you always feel good when you have the puck. The crowd was screaming when the octopus hit the ice. I thought someone threw a jersey. You're not in Toronto.
Hey, it's not Toronto.
You're not. It's not Toronto, and it's not Edmonton or Vancouver. Yeah, no. Bugner wasn't a big fan of the 5-on-3 call. Give a lot of praise to their goalie, but we didn't get rattled tonight. And that's another thing too, is the psychological game, Landy, is that they didn't let it get to them. Teams in the past would have faltered and let it get to them, and you would just seen a third period collapse like nothing else. But tonight they showed resiliency, especially after the Letty goal.
The Letty goal. I was just gonna say. I mean, again, to have basically an AHL fourth line come through with just a very important goal. A guy, coming from a guy who had already, laid his body for his team, getting the goal to get it back even. It just goes to show you a lot. Like I said, a lot of heart and soul from VL, and I think that he's going to be one of those kind of players that you can rally around. He'll be the new Mike Brown teddy bear, right?
Right.
But no, it's a good story and good for him to get the goal and get them back in it.
Absolutely. We had so many good looks. We were feeling confident. Burns makes great plays, and he made some tonight. Yeah, I mean, again, like we said, the last 6 goals by the Sharks, Burns has assisted on them in some form. So he's starting to feel it, which is always nice. Couture with the game winner, always nice. You saw what Hurdle and Meyer did the last few games.
The boy needed a break. Okay, it's hard lifting, man. All right,
not quite the break you really want, but yeah, I get you. You're right.
The knees can only handle so much.
Right.
Oh, knock on wood.
Oh boy. We did everything tonight we did everything we could tonight, but I loved our chances tonight. We didn't give up a lot from the inner slot. That's our game. Give credit for them allowing only 19 shots on goal to Detroit, and it was very devilish. 6 shots in the first, 6 shots in the second, 6 shots in the third, only 1 in overtime. Yeah.
Again, I mean that when the defensive structure is like that, they give the goaltender an opportunity to keep them in the game, and the way that Hill has been playing when he's got good structure in front of him, I feel most often than not he's going to keep it in that 2-goal range. And again, it's just it's good to see that they're getting back to their defensive foundation, because those 2 games where they were just getting lit up. Actually, it was a 5 game span where they were just getting lit up. Was not sustainable, and that was going to take them out of the race.
Yeah.
But they've kind of corrected it now, and playing their game again. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that game adapts to some very stiff competition on the horizon.
Yep. They have the Rangers on Thursday, Penguins on Saturday, LA on Tuesday. Okay, at Seattle next Thursday. But I mean, you just keep getting more and more of these top-notch goal opponents. It's going to be a very interesting, interesting last 3 weeks before the All-Star break for the Sharks. And can they hold on to these wins? And overtime might not be able to do it, but I mean, what are they, 6-0, 7-0 in overtime? Yeah, they had a shootout loss to New Jersey earlier in the year, but I mean, the extra frame, that's nice to have.
No, I mean, you're getting those row your boat points, and I think again, with it being so tight and with the way in which COVID has really been screwy with all of the teams, again, AJ is like, okay, hey, points percentage. Take a look at the points percentage. But
Yeah.
I will tell you this: look at the rows. The Sharks are second in the Pacific in row. And let's say that the Sharks, eke out something for a wild card, those rows are going to come in handy. And again, it kind of just goes to show you that the team is feeling good in the overtime frame. They're moving the puck with a lot of ease, especially because there's just so much more ice out there. But you can really see the creativity of the Sharks on display. And you didn't see creativity tonight. You saw tenacity. But again, I think the Sharks have just had a good mojo going into that OT.
Yeah, I mean, they get to win number 20 tonight. The regulation win, so the one without the overtime, gets you to 13, which is still pretty good. I mean, you have more than Anaheim right now, which is going to be a big one. So remains to be seen as to how that goes along down the road. I mean, like we said, teams have a lot of games to make up. That necessarily means wins, but it definitely makes them tired and more challenging down the road. So,
and the other thing too that I would also present, because AJ is firing back.
oh boy,
I would also say, look at this, AJ. I mean, the Sharks have more wins than Anaheim, just straight up. I mean, Anaheim has more points only because of the overtime losses. So I give you that as well as a kind of a discrepancy in the way in which they have played. It basically tells a tale of when they have played poor, they have played very poor. But they have also eked out a lot of wins. I mean, it's again second in the number of wins in the Pacific Division. Now, again, games in hand, yada yada yada. But
absolutely.
still, today, if we're looking at where the California teams are, the Sharks are in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all you can really at this point with the what turmoil this team has gone through. I think at this point that's kind of a win at this point in the season.
Yeah, Matt M in the chat. I really can't believe the California teams, to be honest. I think the media dropped the ball on all of them. I'm not sure. I just think they're very surprising right now at this point. I mean, we kind of expected a bump with LA. We definitely didn't see anything coming with Anaheim, but I didn't expect the likes of like Troy Terry or Trevor Zegras to have this much of an impact for the Ducks. As for the Sharks, they keep being resilient and finding a way. Hurdle's been a huge part of that. So is Timo Meyer. And it's been going back and forth. Not both of them at the same time, but it's like Carlson one time, and then Burns. And so, and let's be honest here too, getting decent goaltending. What I forget what you guys say in there, but slightly average goaltending will help you out big time. So,
I mean, look, if both goaltenders can stay above 905 this year as their save percentage, like I am totally happy with that. For years of 895 or 897 or 890 or whatever, that we saw of just how bad the Sharks goaltending had been. I mean, this is refreshing because it doesn't feel like the next one is going to go in automatically. And we were getting trained to that point where it was like, okay, Jones is going in, and dear God, I hope he doesn't give up 3 goals in the first 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So, um, and I think, I think AJ is right as well. When seeing where the teams are going to be in the next 4 games, I think we've all highlighted this homestand as very important.
Yeah, this homestand, along with the upcoming road trip to the break, it's going to be how crazy it is. Is the Pacific Division that bad from Sleepy Mofo? No, I think it's picking up now that Vancouver's been on a run. Calgary got to a hot start. Now they've cooled down. Edmonton got off to a really strong start. Now they've really calmed down. They're as cold as a cold winter's day out in Regina for sure. I mean, each team has had their moments. Of course, the Sharks started out 4-0. It's going to be one of those crazy ones down the road. Bugner finishing these up. We were frustrated with our power play in Detroit. We went with Dahlin back there. We made some adjustments. It's nice to see how comfortable we are in close games. We're finding ways to win even when things aren't going our way. And I like the resiliency about it. And here's the last one, and I'll wrap this one up with you, Landy. We were worried. We hadn't heard about Balcers, but Bugner did say that Balcers and Benito are expected to return Thursday against the Rangers. So that's going to be a big one coming up for the Sharks to get Balcers, who's been having a rough time. He had a rough time himself, but he has been getting some goals when he was playing. He's been out for a while. To get Benito back from COVID will also be nice. 2 key cogs, no relation to Cogliano, to get this thing going and keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to stretch out the depth, right? I mean, I hope that this doesn't cost Nick Merkley a spot, because I think he would be very effective as the fourth line center. Again, I'm not sold by Jasper Weatherby or Lane Peterson.
Definitely not Lane Peterson. No offense to the guy himself, but Merkley's just shown a lot more oomph than Peterson has.
And now you're telling me, okay, your 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be Hurdle, Couture, Benino, and then Merkley. That's not half bad, and it's not. I mean, you can't afford to lose one of your centers because the team seems to be kind of weak at center this particular iteration. But I like that 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's pretty strong, and I think that could give a lot of different teams different looks, and different, and different kinds of
you don't have to get choked up, man.
different kinds of defensive deployments. Because I'm thinking, going into that Pittsburgh game, I am thinking about Evgeny Malkin and how, oh boy, as his first game back, I think he looked better than Crosby tonight. It's like that good.
Great segue into the wraparound since Jerry donated for it. Jerry F., thank you as always. You can make your donations to Venmo on at Teal Town USA. So thank you very much. Of course, any of the money goes to help support the show and keeps all the upkeep up. So I'll really quickly go into that Anaheim game where Pittsburgh beats Anaheim 4-1 in Anaheim.
The aviary battle.
Yes, the of the ice hockey bird challenge here per se. Malkin with a pair of goals on his return of the game. Jeff Carter with 2 goals as well, as the Penguins beat the Ducks 4-1 on that one.
Scary. It's scary. Did you see that point shot? That was Malkin at his heyday.
Oh yeah.
He looks that good, and I remember when
Hasso
Plattner when he gave one of his very few rare appearances was joking around, how do we get Evgeny Malkin? I was like, yeah, that'd be a guy I'd want in a teal sweater.
It would be nice, but maybe a few years ago too. Tampa goes in the Buffalo, beats them up 6-1. Nikita Kucherov is back, people. He gets a hat trick in there as Buffalo just gets owned by the Lightning on this night to get to 53 points. The Canucks streak without a regulation loss with Bruce Boudreau is over. They lose 5-2. The Panthers. All I'm going to say is the scoring just not just happened on the ice. We'll just leave it at that.
Let's just say
there was actual reach around happening tonight.
There's a rapper with no shame. That's all I got to say about that.
Moving onward, Chicago beats Columbus 4-2. Alex Brinkett with a pair of goals in that one. Colorado, let's just put it this way. Freaking Cale Makar does it again, but not enough as the Predators have Matt Duchene score back-to-back goals for them. Gets the overtime winner as they beat the Avalanche 5-4 in overtime. In a shootout, the Golden Knights lose to the Maple Leafs 4-3. The Leafs had a 3-0 lead in that game.
Leafs gonna leave.
Yeah. So there were a couple of games postponed, but that's it for you guys on that. So let's set up Thursday as Barclay Goodrow returns to the Shark Tank for the first time since being traded to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, there's going to be a video tribute, and honestly, there's only one thing they'll probably really need to show for the place to go nuts.
Do we have a counter for the amount of times that Game 7 of a certain particular playoff series has been mentioned?
It's in the billions. Let's just leave it at that, all right? But the Rangers coming into town, the Sharks played them well in MSG earlier in the year, but it'll be interesting to see how they fare, especially on Stealth Night. We're doomed.
Oh God, it's Stealth
doomed.
Night.
So,
that's horrible. Why did you have to say that?
I'm just warning you. Now, question: If I test negative and I'm able to go on Thursday, you think I'm wearing black? No, I'm going Heritage Teal or Reverse Retro Gray.
Yeah. I don't know why they do it. I don't
don't either. But that's Sharks for you.
Yeah.
So, that'll do it for us here. We will be back with you on Thursday night, following Sharks and Rangers. But in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course always available at tealtownusa.com. So, Landy, with that, your final thoughts on where the people can find you on this night.
Yeah, no, final thoughts are the Sharks have set themselves up for a good run into this homestand. Once they make some points here, let's take some good mojo. And like I said, this window of the next 8 games, as long as you can stay 500 and just keep yourself, sniffing around the hunt, I think that'll set you up for that division, that all important division play heading into the stretch drive home. So these next 8 games are going to be super, super important. And then as far as what I'll be doing, I think I'll be hosting on Thursday. So I will meet you back here and catch all of you guys and gals on the chat once again. And where you can find me is you can use my first name and my last name on all the social media garbage. So that's it from me.
All right. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. Landy's going to be with you on Thursday. Don't mess it up, all right, man? Okay, just making sure.
Cool. Yeah, I got to play that outro, or else
get the outro right.
Take me out back.
Yeah,
take me out back and
TMI. Never mind. No, not on this night, especially after the Florida game. All right. That, we'll be back with you Thursday following Sharks and Rangers. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. The conversation continues on the Discord channel right now. So we'll see you over there, and we'll see you Thursday. Have a good night, everyone.